tremendous array of things happening in the news here, just about 3 weeks away from maybe the most consequential presidential election of our lives. A lot of people have been very interested in this Tim Walz story. I did communicate with the black insurrectionist on DM this morning, and everybody is saying that he's been suspended from X for 3 days. If people aren't following on X, I recommend that you do. I'm on there at JG_CSTT. Getting cold here, fall in New York on the High Line. But I wanted to make sure we don't get distracted from the Ken Silva, the autopsy story, the Thomas Crooks autopsy that Ken brilliantly got. I cannot compliment that guy enough. That was such good work. It never occurred to me to even get that. And we've learned, I had no idea how you would go about it. So it was interesting. And what we've learned from that, Ken found out about this Coroner's Act in Pennsylvania. And so, when we did that show, John Cullen and Ken Silva and I, people can still see that. Become a sponsor if you aren't already on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com, or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. You can watch that whole show we did with Ken and John Cullen going through the autopsy. It was incredible. But what's happened now is it's raised this question of how did they identify the body? And I don't know if people are on X, but I revealed last night that I have another lawsuit going. Now, this is not a counter lawfare lawsuit. That's another thing I wanted to tell people about. There's huge things happening in the world of counter lawfare. I'm not even ready to get to that yet, but there's a little bit of a difference, I think. I started this new series maybe last week or a little bit before called Caution, Not an Attorney, because it's important for people to remember that I'm not an attorney and nothing I ever say is legal advice. But I am going to be doing another episode of Caution, Not an Attorney right after this. People can join me, sponsors. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the whole appeal. I've done a right to know request of the medical examiner's office, as revealed on X, and I'm asking them to tell us, hey, how did you, give us all your records and everything with regard to how you determined that the dead guy on the roof was Thomas Crooks? Because, by the way, I'm already suing the district attorney's office in Beaver County, saying that they forged evidence. Everybody knows what I'm talking about over there with the photograph. See, it's interesting. George's brother, he's making a big deal out of the fact that I've made these allegations. Like, you're not allowed to accuse law enforcement of doing something, particularly if you have evidence that they've done it. It's weird. I'm not ready to get to the counter lawfare portion of this, because that's a whole, almost like its own other show. And we've also got Charles joining me tonight. Charles Ortel is overseas, and he'll be with us. Look at these nice flowers. Isn't that great? But anyway, Charles will be joining us tonight, and we got to talk about the flounder. I don't know, did people see that? I made a flounder movie poster, Kamala lying about working at McDonald's. And we had that McDonald's movie where Michael Keaton played Roy Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. Not really a nice guy. That's an interesting movie. But anyway, I'm going to go through this whole right to know appeal, I think it's going to be interesting for people because it really does intertwine with the existing one. And I have a little bit of a better understanding of how this Pennsylvania Open Records Office works now. I don't know, I didn't know what I thought. It's like anything. When you don't know what to expect, you get there and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then when you're in it for a little while, you start to understand how it works. So it's not Pennsylvania State Court. I mean, it is a court, sort of. It seems almost more like an arbitration board where there are attorneys who work for the state, who work for this thing, this Office of Open Records, and all it does is review these open records requests, you know, relative to the right to know law in Pennsylvania. But I mean, I do believe their determinations are binding. I mean, I wonder what happens, because the other thing that happened actually yesterday as well is that in the Goodman versus Beaver County District Attorney case, that's the first one, the Open Records Office issued a letter to Detective Sedlak saying, hey, you missed the deadline to respond to all this, and so now, you know, you got to respond. The deadline was October 10th, and this letter says, you know, kindly, as quickly as possible, but no later than the 17th, get back to us. And that's tomorrow. And so far, she hasn't said a damn thing. So I don't know. The cops don't seem too worried about these open record requests, these right to know requests. But I don't know. I hope people will enjoy this, because I was looking at the 990 for Judicial Watch, and I kind of couldn't believe it. They took in $175 million. You know, the last time I spoke to Larry Klayman about this, it was a few years ago, he was, you know, upset that these guys were dealing with $40 million. That there was some, endowment, there was like some endowment or something of millions of dollars that was supposed to buy a building. I don't want to get too far into this because I don't know the details of the story, but this is the essence of what Larry was beefing with Tom Fitton about, was that Larry started Judicial Watch, and somehow he thought, or perhaps was misled, or I don't know the details, but Larry thought Tom was like a law student when he hired him, and no, he wasn't. He never was a lawyer. And also there was this huge sum of money that was supposed to be used to buy the building that their office is in or whatever. And I mean, I think that that is a legitimate, kind of sensible thing if you're running a nonprofit that has sufficient funds that it could do that. You know, rather than paying rent, you own the building. I mean, like, there's like stuff that you're allowed to own, and I think that's like a smart way to do it. But anyway, I don't want to get too far into that beef, but the point is, Larry wasn't just pissed off for no reason. He was making allegations that Tom Fitton did underhanded stuff to take control of what is now worth $175 million bucks. Or, I mean, what happens with all that money? Because, see, I'm doing the same kind of right to know action that they're doing, but I don't know, when's the last time Tom Fitton said, hey everybody, thanks for sending me $175 million. Here's the latest thing that we're doing. He's just like, oh, we got documents, boom, here they are. And that's what Larry, oh wait, what the hell is going on? We're not allowed through here? Why?
On the highway. So
Why is it closed?
yeah, this part is closed.
Why?
Private event.
Private event. I don't like that.
Fourth roll is your photographer.
What is this? This is some stupid event that I'm sure I'm not gonna like. But anyway, the point is taking people through it, helping everybody understand what's going on. Yeah, Larry used to say, oh, you get documents, so what? What are you going to do with the documents? Okay, so now back to the Mr. Miyagi part of it. What are we going to do with the documents? Well, Ken Silva got some documents, and he raised some points in our conversation. People should go check out that show with John Cullen and Ken Silva. But, you know, he caused me to realize, hey, wait a minute. This, you know, there's interplay with my existing case. So I don't have the documents in front of me here, and it's not the type of thing that I can talk about while I'm walking around in the wind. But for people who are interested in the details, this is pretty fascinating, I have to say. And I mean, it's almost like it's going beyond independent journalism, and it's going into like interactive, you know, legal activism, where, you know, Ken does his action. I mean, this isn't a game, you know. Ken does his action, and we learn something. I do an action. I mean, we're going to force something to happen. George's brother has gone crazy now trying to badmouth Corey Mills, I guess because he saw that interview I did with Corey Mills, and he must realize that Corey Mills is, you know, working to bring this evidence to Congress, or perhaps our best opportunity for that to happen. So he's trying to mess with Corey Mills. What's going on over here? I don't think Corey Mills sees that or cares. But, you know, George's brother was always upset. He's like, oh, you know, Jason is besmirching, you know, their stupid father, who's a military whatever, according to them. But he's got no problem smearing Corey Mills, who's also a military something or other. What the hell's going on here? Hallmark. Oh, you can meet Santa in October? Countdown to Christmas. They're really starting that countdown early. I guess they got money to make. Hallmark Channel. Joy to the world. It seems early to start counting down to Christmas now. There's a lot of fat people counting down to Christmas. Well, I don't understand what the line is for. Well, anyway. Yeah, so they sent that letter to Detective Sedlak. What happens tomorrow if she does nothing? Like if they just don't have any, you know, I mean, this is what they're going to do. They have no good answer. They don't want to give me the photo. Remember, the case against the Beaver County ESU, where Detective Sedlak is the open records officer, that's me saying, hey, cops, give me the HEIC photo from Gian Vito's phone. And they're like, no. They get angry and said, are you accusing me of being a liar? That was Patrick Young. He got angry. And then he said, that is all we have. So I think that's their position. I don't think they're going to move off of that position. And I just don't think they're going to give us anything. And I think they figure we're the cops, and this stupid open records office can't do anything to us. And I mean, you know what? They probably know a lot about this. Like if they don't want to give that, it could be a gigantic pain in the ass to get it. I don't know what the next, what happens if they don't. Let's ask. Are people aware that you can talk to ChatGPT now? Let's see what it says. I haven't done too much of this.
I understand. Let me know if you need anything else.
Hey, if I prevail in an open records lawsuit, a right-to-know lawsuit in Pennsylvania, and the open records office tells the cops, hey, you have to give Jason the evidence that he's asking for, but the cops never respond and don't give the evidence, what happens?
If you prevail in an open records lawsuit, and the court orders the police to provide the evidence you're requesting, but they fail to comply, several things can happen. Typically, you could file a motion to enforce the court's order, which would ask the court to compel the police to turn over the evidence. The court could then hold the police in contempt, potentially leading to penalties such as fines or other consequences until they comply with the order. It's also possible that continued noncompliance could escalate into a legal battle, where the court may impose stricter penalties or even take steps to ensure the evidence is produced by other means.
I wonder, isn't it possible the police could just do nothing and stonewall me for the rest of time?
It's possible that the police could try to stonewall and delay compliance, but if the court is involved, they generally can't ignore a court order indefinitely without facing consequences. You can keep pressing the issue by filing motions to compel or hold them in contempt. Courts don't typically take kindly to agencies that openly defy orders. So while delays may happen, the police are likely to face penalties if they continue to ignore the law and the court's rulings.
I don't know, ChatGPT. I'll believe it when I see it. I just think the cops are going to stonewall forever. Also, ChatGPT will say something similar, like, hey, I'm not a lawyer. I could be wrong. It does say that. It's like, warning, ChatGPT makes mistakes. Now, what do we have here? Warby Parker, some fancy eyeglasses place. Hudson Yards. Yeah, BlackRock is down here. I think this is it right here. These people all happily work for BlackRock. It's kind of nuts. Yeah, the other thing that's going on is we have these like little devils of 42nd Street, which is a gang of like 11 to 15-year-olds, they said. But if you think about it, these kids have been here. Like, imagine if you came here when you're 12, okay? And you've been here for 3 years, you know, and you're growing up on the street, drinking beer alone in the hotel, smoking weed at night on the streets. I mean, by the time you're 15, you could be a pretty tough, like mentally ill, amoral criminal who sees that the cops are doing nothing and that you could just do whatever the hell you want. Crazy shoes on that lady. But yeah, so they have these gangs of essentially little kids because the issue is they have guns and stuff. They're shooting people. 11-year-olds, and they, you know, can't put them in jail or something. Why? I think if you're 11 and you shoot somebody, you should go to regular old jail. Might be bad for you there, but I think if you're a armed robber at age 11, I'm not sure how easily rehabilitated you could be. Now, right, so these are those speed cameras. That's the other issue, is we got a lot of Eric Adams stuff to talk about. I haven't been doing that many walks lately, first of all, because I was, you know, had a bunch of time spent going to Pennsylvania, a bunch of time spent creating all this legal stuff. And also, it's just become so, like, unpleasant and dangerous. I mean, walking with the video camera, I think it's okay. But, you know, certainly hanging around anywhere for any period of time, not even necessarily, there's like no such thing as a good or bad neighborhood anymore. You could just get attacked anywhere. Right, and so one of the people, I haven't really spoken about this too much, but one of the people in the Eric Adams administration who resigned, I think last week, Tim Pearson, he was a deputy mayor who was in charge of the different contracts for migrant shelters. And it's just very interesting. There's things happening also in my case against the city it's pretty detailed and not done yet. So I'm not sure that I want to talk about that stuff yet. And also big doings in the case with George's brother, counter lawfare. I think I almost want to do a separate counter lawfare show about that. It's a Mustang. Yeah, so the point of the whole right to no appeal is they're going to have to tell us how they figured out that this was Thomas Crooks. See, we're kind of going like right to the heart of the matter as far as what we're able to do. I mean, you know, Congress isn't going to get us anywhere. We basically know that. So maybe this open records, I just find it hard to believe that the open records board or the court or whatever is going to make police who are ready to shoot the president, they'll say, oh shucks, okay, court, here it is. I mean, how the hell is this going to work exactly? But I mean, from the standpoint of understanding how it works, this is way more interesting than what Judicial Watch does, right? This is a straight appeal to people who, if you send money to Judicial Watch, I think you should definitely become a sponsor of this show, because I'm sort of doing more than they are. Well, look at, they crushed all those buildings right there. So it seems like, I guess, Hudson Yards is kind of pushing east. They're just going to crush all these crappy buildings and build fancier buildings here. Seems like it. Well, I mean, but look, maybe this goes to Congress. Maybe this goes to Corey Mills and helps him do something that he wouldn't be able to do if it wasn't for, you know, Ken Silva and now this, all these things kind of working together. But so, I mean, what do people think about that? That George's brother is trying to stop this from happening? Like, who? I think at one point it might have been like, oh, I don't know, Jason, George, and his brother, who's telling the truth? But I mean, how could they? George will say, oh, I have nothing to do with my brother. How could they be on the right side of anything to be trying to stop us from learning how they identified this body on the roof as Thomas Crooks? Because right now it seems like somebody just decided he was Crooks, gave him to the coroner. The coroner said, okay, it's Crooks. Nobody questioned it. Nobody even really looked at it, right? I mean, I'm asking them, did you use this facial recognition photo? Point is, we're sort of building a thread here, you know? I don't know if a thread is the right term, but, you know, one thing building on the next. Ken Silva gets the autopsy and he finds out certain things about the coroner's act, which I did not know. He tells me that and gives me that affidavit from the coroner and butler, and that strengthens my right to no appeal. So there's a ton of information that people are going to be able to see if you're interested in this. It's kind of a deep dive sort of a thing, so I'm putting it on the sponsor exclusive channel. People who are on there on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth or crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com can check it out. A lot of sirens. I mean, you know, they just told us that the FBI quietly decided that, oh yeah, that report we gave you that said crime is down, that was wrong. I mean, it's sort of obvious to anybody with eyes or ears. We hear sirens everywhere we go. Crime is rampant. Skateboarding jackasses are rampant. Now, I was over here at the post office yesterday. mailing something last minute. If people can probably guess what it was. And there was a huge homeless encampment over here, just of tons of homeless people. Let's see if they're camped out here now. Well, yeah, there does appear to be a large number of people just camping out at the stairs here. What the hell? What's going on with this? Are you guys waiting for something?
Yes.
What are you waiting for? Oh, really? Billie Eilish. So that's not what I saw last night, because it was like people with sleeping bags and stuff. Billie Eilish. I guess they're waiting for that too. Well, good for her. Spearmint Rhino is now open. That's good. It's interesting, you're seeing a lot of people with suitcases. It is New York, I guess there's tourism going on. I don't know, I just can't look at anything without wondering if there's not some sketchy thing going on. Here's the dog with shoes. That's an Australian sheepdog with shoes. Extremely fancy. You can tell by the owner it's fancy. Beautiful light right now. Yeah, so we're in autumn. It's going to start getting cold pretty soon. But I wanted to come out and I wanted to let everybody know that I'm doing this caution not an attorney episode. Get everybody up to speed on exactly what the hell is this idiot doing. Get everybody up to speed on exactly what's going on with the right to know appeal. I'm gonna get killed over here. And keep everybody abreast of what's happening. So as I was saying earlier, if you're sponsoring Judicial Watch, ask them what the hell they're doing. It seems like not really that much. You know, they sort of like get these documents, but they're not really, I guess they give them to John Solomon and then what? I feel like we're doing more. I feel like something will happen. I hope something will happen. Oh yeah, I wanted to check this out. I was over here the other day. So there's this big construction project. People have seen the other side of Madison Square Garden several times. They've, you know, that front part, they have the LED overhang now and all kinds of stuff going on over there. But this rear section appears to have opened. Let's see if we can walk up there and just see what's going on. And I mean, just back to that comparison of, uh-oh, what happened? Seems like the video froze. Is it no longer getting signal? Oh, come on now. Doesn't seem to be working anymore. Let's see if we can bring this back here. Stand by, everyone. I've lost camera. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That might be difficult to recover. Let's see. It doesn't seem to want to cooperate. That might be the end of today's episode. All right, yeah, I apologize, everybody. I don't think I'm going to be able to get the other camera back here. It's all right. I'll come back over here another day and we'll check that out. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, I'll be, well, just in 5 minutes, we're going to start the sponsor exclusive Caution Not an Attorney. Join me on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com, or patreon.com/.